Good morning, my friends. Welcome back to Frogboy X1 Gaming. I'm Andrew, and today I wanted to kind of do a little more talking about the whole thing about GPUs, being future-proof, as well as dual freaking mode monitors. Okay, I don't think a lot of you guys understand like the premise of the video that I made last night. And to be fair, it was kind of a little bit all over the place. I had something going on that I needed to deal with in the middle of it. So it kind of broke up the flow of that video. So today I want to try to be a little bit more concise with this video topic, because I think that there's like these new technologies, they change things. Even somebody that's been like really kind of a heckler in my comment section for a while. It's like last generation 4080. I was banging on that card because it was 16 gigs of VRAM. Okay, and obviously, you know, 7900 XTX being 24 gigs of VRAM. Like, let's just be real. Nobody truly knows how much VRAM we're gonna need in the future. Nobody. I mean, the 3080 10 gig came out, and you had some people saying that, yeah, this card's gonna be awesome and a banger and blah, blah, blah. And then you had others that were like, well, I don't know, maybe it's gonna be a problem. But once we got to the like, in my opinion, okay, and this is my opinion, we buy PCs to overcome the shortcomings that consoles are inherent for. Especially, you start to get older, you start to have more disposable income, you start to have more of a more resources available to buy video games. You find that you have you'll find that as you progress through life, you're going to get to a point where it's like, okay, I want 4K, I want this, I want that. I'm not necessarily constrained by, you know, not having the money. My kids are older now, so it's a little bit easier to be able to have money and set things aside and do things. So you get to that point where, okay, I want something better than a console, but the new consoles, and the reason why, you know, I was kind of negative toward the 4080 Super is just due to the fact that it's like, look, man, if multi-frame generation would have been a thing, if DLSS 4 would have been a thing when I bought my 4080 Super, maybe my you know, thinking would have changed a little bit. And the only reason why, let's be fair, the only reason why I'm even saying that a 16 gigabyte GPU nowadays is more future proof is 100% because of the dual monitor technology that is starting to come out. You've got LG launching a 5K 2K monitor right now, so that there's going to be that monitor is more for like your 5090, your 4090, your more high-end cards. Obviously, you're going to need a card that's going to be able to push 5K fairly easily. I think that a lot of these GPUs in some of these games could actually do it, like a 9070 XT. I mean, for freak's sake, we had AMD out there showing the 9070 XT paired with a 9800X 3D running freaking, what was it, Horizon Forbidden West or something at 120 frames at 8K resolution. And I was like, okay, you know, like these GPUs are actually pretty damn good. And I don't think that anybody takes the time to really understand the technology that we actually have at our fingertips. I think that most people are just like, and I've said this before in a few videos, okay, guys? People are so tied to the past and how things were, and they don't want to move forward. They don't want to accept things. They want to just stay stuck in the past. And you've all seen that. You've all seen that happen. When they review these new GPUs, they come out and they're like, all right, this is the power of these GPUs, and they're turning off all of the features that actually make these GPUs what they are today. They turn it all off, and then what happens? You watch the reviews, and then you're like, oh man, that GPU is only 5% faster than the last GPU. And then that, because it used to work on me too, like it used to screw with my head. And then you know, now that I'm actually utilizing the features and I like the features and I find them useful, I'm like, wait a minute, man. So instead of being mad or instead of like having a bad experience with this game, you know, knowing that I came from consoles and now I'm in the PC space, and the PC space is bringing this stuff into that once upon a time, like your 1080 Ti, think about this for a minute. If your 1080 Ti had frame generation and had upscaling, think about this for a minute, man. The 1080p or the 1080 Ti was a beast, was it not? Did that card not last like 10 years? That card was an absolute freaking monster. 9070 XT is faster than that. Like all of these GPUs are faster than the 1080 Ti. I think even the 3060 was pretty dang close to like a 1080 Ti power. It just lacked the VRAM and stuff like that. So if you look at that and you take these things into consideration, obviously a 256-bit bus, I do find that to be fairly narrow for a $1,000 GPU, but at the end of the day, we've got faster RAM, other things that people are like, oh, you don't understand, Frog, GDDR7 is faster. Well, yeah, you're right. It is faster, but I see no discernible massive difference between my 9070 XT and my 5070 Ti. And when I look at both of these GPUs in terms of will these freaking GPUs last a long time, I'm more inclined to say yes, just due to the fact that we do have multi-frame generation, we do have DLSS 4, we do have FSR 4, we do have AMD's fluid motion frames. We've got plenty of technology built right into these GPUs that can propel them a lot further. Guys, when I seen FSR 4 in performance mode looking as good as 4K, and being able to look at that and being like, wait a minute, like this looks really, really good on a 4K display. You know, obviously when you turn on native 4K and you're looking at that, and you like, obviously your eyes are you're gonna have to let yourself adjust. This is 100% gonna be something that is 100% dependent on your taste and how you see things and how you perceive things once they come back from the screen to your eyes. And I look at that, and DLSS 4 is the same way. I look at DLSS 4, I look at FSR 4, and I see that intricate detail that once was stripped out by DLSS. Obviously, FSR 3 is not that bad. I've played a lot of these games with FSR 3. You can absolutely do that. Because FSR 3 would keep the detail, DLSS would kind of strip it out a little bit, whereas it's kind of like give or take. You get more like softness and fuzz and other kind of stuff when using FSR 3. But when you look at how FSR 4, DLSS 4 can recreate a 4K image to a point where it's like, okay, this looks good. Like not just okay, it looks good. And when you're playing that, because think about this, okay? You buy a game, a lot of the things you're going to see first is going to be the visuals, like boom in your face. You're like depending on how attractive the game is, that's something that could make or break something for you, you know, keeping you in there. If you get into a game and it just looks horrible, chances are, unless the gameplay is really, really, really good from the moment the game starts, you might not stick around. So yes, visuals are always going to matter when it comes to video games. I would say they're more than 50% most of the time. At least in the beginning part of that game, the visuals are going to have to drag you in to at least, you know, to at least give you the want to play, to continue playing. So yes, when you look at FSR 4, when you look at DLSS 4, and the fact that they can produce an image at 4K that makes you like, wow, this looks incredible, or whoa, look at all the detail I can see. Once you see that, then it's like, okay, this is cool technology. This is going to get the job done. And so, on another note, if you're like me, okay, if you've come to PC gaming from consoles, you're used to frame time spikes, you're used to freaking stutters, you're used to to a little bit of latency. You're used to, like, sometimes, you know, the game not always just running 100% smooth. Whether you're on PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo, whatever, there are always those instances where you'll be playing a game, and not the whole game, but sometimes you'll do something and there will be a brief moment of, like, instability with the overall frame rate. Maybe you got a lot of action going on, like Guardians of the Galaxy. I played through that whole game on Xbox Series X, got to the very end of that game on the 60 FPS mode where all the gold and everything is, and then boom, it dropped all the way down into like the 20s. Like, it was stuttered and it slowed down, and then boom, got after that part and everything ran fine. Like, that was a whole freaking game, and then finally at the end there was that one thing that literally happened for like a whole minute. Like, it was just boom, dropping really bad, and like the frame rate was so bad that it was almost unplayable. But the thing is it was still playable, and the game still turned out to be an absolute freaking banger that I love to this day. Like, I thought that game was absolutely incredible. So if you're coming from a console and you're used to that kind of stuff, turning on frame generation. Okay, frame generation, whether it is AMD's fluid motion frames, whether it's FSR frame generation or DLSS frame generation or multi-frame generation, you're going to be able to use these technologies a lot easier than than some of the people that are 100% PC snobs. They're probably going to be a lot, like, if you're using a mouse and keyboard, you're probably not going to like frame generation as much. You're definitely going to notice a lot more instability with using a mouse and keyboard. But if you're one of us console bros that came to PC and you got your controller, you got your DualSense or your Xbox Elite controller or whatever, and you got it plugged into your PC, you, my friend, are going to have the time of your life, because if you're getting 60 FPS out of that game and you turn on frame generation to get 120 FPS motion clarity, it's going to still feel like you're playing the game at 60 frames a second, therefore tricking your brain enough to where it's like, okay, the biggest thing with console gamers versus PC gamers is, like, we are adapted to playing with latency. Like, we've adapted to that a long time ago. We are really good at freaking timing our moves and our jumps and stuff like that. And you know what? To get the image quality, okay? To get the image quality, the clarity, the smoothness, and everything else, the pure openness that PC has to offer, my friends, we are living in a time where we have some of the coolest freaking technology to propel and power our freaking games forward, that I'm sitting here like day after day, smile on my face, just boom, like with joy, you know, on a 9070 XT or a 5070 Ti, playing these new games, and they just feel, look, and run incredibly. And then when you factor in technologies like a dual freaking mode 4K 1080p monitor, okay? Like, I need to stress this because this is the closing part of the video. So I want to stress this. A dual mode monitor, okay, guys? Think about this. You're sitting here, you've got a 4K display, and it looks absolutely freaking incredible, like blowing your mind. You're like, I love this monitor. I love the way this looks. And then with this exact same monitor, you're like, okay, I'm curious. I want to try the 1080p mode. So you do it, and you look at it, and you give yourself, you know, a couple minutes to let your eyes adjust to the softer looking image. And then before you know it, you're like, damn, this looks good. You know, once you let your eyes adjust, and I'm serious, guys, like, this happened to me, like, in real time. Like, I'm sitting there and I switch over to Oblivion in 1080p, and it took a minute because I was like, wow, this is soft. And then I start moving around and I start playing, and literally within a few minutes, before I even freaking like realized it, it looked fine. Once you let your eyes adjust, once you go from 4K to 1080p, I guarantee you, if you start in the morning and you flip it to 1080p and you flip it on, you're not going to have a problem. It wasn't even that long ago where 1080p was the top of the line that we could get for our displays in our house, and those looked good. They looked fine. You didn't have this inherent like, oh my gosh. But here's the kicker. Here's the real kicker. And this is why I think this monitor has been able to rub off on me very well, is the fact that it still has HDR support because of the OLED technology, because that it does have HDR, and the fact that LG was able to find a way to they kind of offset the pixels on this. So when you got like 1080p, it's like it just combines 4 pixels, but it combines them in a way to where they still look like native 1080p or something. It's not native 1080p, but the way it does it, it's like a virtual way, but it works so good and it's so perfect. And when I'm looking at it, I'm like, gosh damn, I cannot believe how freaking good that looks. I was sitting here and I was playing around with Assassin's Creed Unity, okay, at 1080p. I'm like, wait a minute, because I've just had this like weird like thought in my head. I'm like, okay, games from previous generations, because I've noticed this. I was like, wait a minute, when I played these games at 1080p, they looked absolutely incredible. And I played Unity on like PS4. So I was like, all right, well, PS4 obviously dropped a lot of settings so that you could play that on PS4. So now that I have it on PC, I was like, okay, well, wait a minute. How does that game look maxed out at 1080p? And oh my gosh, guys, it absolutely freaking blew my mind just how incredible that game looks at 1080p with maxed out settings, all of that. I'm like, wow, this is really, really good. But you kind of have to lock it to 120 frames because it starts to get weird. I was like, oh gosh, I've played around with the 5070 Ti and I'm looking at that and I'm asking people, I'm like, dude, is my GPU cooked because of this? And then I put it on the 9070 XT and it's doing the same thing. And then I seen people like talking in the comment section about the 120 FPS. I tried that and yep, it went away. I was like, oh my gosh, dude, this is PC gaming is there's a lot of weirdness that goes on too on PC, but once you start getting used to it and you learn to not get as angry about it, I get angry about it still sometimes too, but once you've accepted the fact and you buy and you make a purchase like this monitor, okay, like the 1080p monitor, and you're able to adjust that literally is going to that's going to extend the life of your GPU for a long time. 1080p it's not necessarily like the easiest resolution to run, but you can run it with most CPUs. You get a good CPU, you can usually run that. And yeah, obviously there are ways of sometimes, like I was trying to play Spider-Man 2 on the PC and I was trying to use like frame generation at 1080p and it literally gave me worse frame rate than at 4K just due to the fact that like the bottleneck was so extreme that it just couldn't, like the GPU is barely even moving, but the CPU is just 100% maxed out. So I was like, dang, dude, the Spider-Man games are very hard on the CPU. They are very hard. So, yeah, guys, I definitely think that these GPUs, even like your 4080 Super now, you know, due to the fact that it's got DLSS 4, my previous like rants about that kind of stuff have eased up. Even a 12 gig GPU, if you have a monitor like this, one that you can say you're playing Call of Duty and you're on a 4070 Super or 5070 Super or whatever, 9060 XT or something, you're like, okay, boom, I can get 4K at this game, I can play it over 60 frames a second, looks absolutely incredible. But then you also want to play something like Silent Hill, but you want to play that game and you want to use all the features and stuff still. Push the button on the bottom of your freaking monitor, drops down to 1080p. It looks absolutely freaking incredible once your eyes adjust. Because it's not going to look blurred and smeared and stretched like it normally would when you're trying to play a 1080p game on a 4K monitor. It actually converts it to a 1080p image, and like the way it converts the pixels to 1080p is going to give you a better clarity, a better look, it's going to look cleaner than it normally would on that experience. So that's basically where I'm at with this, guys. If you like this content, do not forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you for watching.